Yes. Okay, we're going here.
Are the leaves going down?
Yeah, they are. So welcome everyone. My name is Paul Campanis, and this is I Was Hungry Garden Ministry. What's the date today? November
22nd.
22nd. Thank you, Flynn. That was good. Okay. And so does anyone know the term I was hungry, what that refers to? Anybody? Any ideas?
In Scripture,
Scripture.
Jesus says, "I was hungry and you fed me."
I was hungry and you fed me in Matthew 25, and so I was having my quiet time around here one morning, and I was a bit overwhelmed. I was behind on my chores, but I know I needed to pray and read my Bible because I like to feed my soul, and it likes to be fed. So I was doing that, and then I just sort of had this spontaneous thought. Well, hey, you are way behind on the garden, but why don't you just get some help and start feeding all the people around you? And that was sort of how the I Was Hungry Garden Ministry was inspired by those words of Jesus. And so that was a few years ago. And so we started growing food and feeding people, and it was going great. Lots of food going out of here, really healthy, delicious food. And then something happened. I lead a prayer ministry at our church, and so I have a window into the pathology of all the people at Fellowship Bible Church. Whether I want it or not, I have it. And so I noticed a lot of people coming forward because they have cancer. And so, and then a lot of them were very interested in the garden ministry. I wasn't recommending that necessarily when they were coming forward for prayer, but they were asking for help, and I said, well, you can come over to my house. We have all this great food. It's really healthy. It's organic. We don't spray. We don't use any chemicals, all that. And so all these cancer patients started coming, lots of them, and they're still coming. So we have a regular flow of cancer patients that come to this location and get nutrient-dense food. And one of the misconceptions about the garden is that we're only going in the spring. Everyone comes around in the spring, but God is a faithful God. He knows that we need to eat 12 months of the year, so He grows food 12 months of the year. And so, and one of the things that started happening when I was doing the gardening, you get all these downloads. God created man, and He put him where? In the garden. This is right after the suitable helper passage, that one? And so there's a lot going on in Genesis 1 and 2 and 3. And one of the things that he talks about is that God created man, He put him in a garden. And I started to get insight and, sort of ideas about why did He do that? It's very subtle. I mean, there's no like big, parable about it or anything. But, in a garden, all of your needs are met. Your physical needs because you're eating. And then God would meet man, He'd meet with Adam in the cool of the evening, right? And so that's the spiritual needs. And then, then also the emotional needs. There was that companionship there. And so I started to think about that, and I started to just feel very happy in the garden. When I'd come out here, I just shut off the news or the work at the desk, and just come out here, and it was sort of became my happy place. And then what I would do is I just, I'd start working, I'd get hungry, I'd just start eating the food in the format that it's in. You can bring everything in and cook it and do all sorts of things, but if I did that, I would have to, get all the dishes out, cook it all, put all the dishes away, clean them, and do all that, clean up the kitchen. But I can just come out here and just open my mouth and just chew while I work. What, Mark?
I've got a wife for that.
Yeah, you've got a wife. I do too. But she gets busy. And so, but I started to just learn a lot about how God gives good gifts. And, the format that the food is in is actually quite a suitable format. I mean, it might not be the most delicious. It might not have barbecue sauce on it here necessarily. But it's a good gift from God. And I noticed that as I started eating the food, I started to feel a lot better. And believe it or not, I lost 80 pounds after I started eating the food. And I was able to start a soccer ministry, the soccer fields at Fellowship. And so I'm able to play there twice a week. and I'm just feeling a lot better than most of the people my age. And I attributed that to the good gifts that God gives me from the garden, and I started to feel a lot stronger. And so that's also based in the Matthew 25 passage where it says, I was a stranger and you invited me in. So the soccer ministry is an outreach to immigrants and refugees, and you're all welcome to come play. And but I was a stranger and you invited me in, and we've had people from 95 different countries come, a lot of them Hindus, a lot of them Muslims, and a lot of them are coming to church and to the men's activities. And we do want to ramp up the single men's ministry at Fellowship. You know, we are deliberate about that. We're intentional about that for obvious reasons, and the desires of some hearts that may be here. But I started to write down just a list of passages that sort of I got insights from the garden. And it's not like, you know, a salvation issue in the Bible, you know, about the garden, but there's a lot in the Bible about gardening and gardens and agriculture and soil and all these things. And you're welcome to take a picture of that or just look at it. Or what I would do is I'd just come up with it. You know, I'd be reading my Bible and go, oh, I never noticed that in the context of the garden. And so there you go. And so one of the things that I learned from the garden is that people are depending on the food for health. So you want the food to be really healthy. And one of the ways that you get the food to be really healthy is you don't put chemicals on it. So the herbicides, the fungicides, the pesticides, I don't like spraying them because they end up all over you, you know, because you'll be spraying that stuff and that big wind will come and it's just all over your face and you feel it. And I was like, oh no. And then you're trying to clean up and it's getting all over your trousers. And so that stuff just gets everywhere. So I don't use any of that. But and I started going to conferences about soil science, and I realized that that my health will never rise above the health of the soil that I eat from. So whether you're eating, you know, bacon or vegetables or fruits, that's all coming from the soil because the animals are eating from the soil, and we're eating from the soil, and we're eating the animals maybe, and so our health will never rise above the health of the soil. So I started studying that, and what I learned is that in our guts we have what's called a microbiome. Raise your hand if you've heard that word. You've heard that word.
I teach that.
Are you a dietitian or something?
No, I teach biology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always thought that you ate the food and there was this hydrochloric acid that just like nuked it with acidity and it broke it down. But that's not the case at all. And life is like this. There are a lot of things that are like, when I first thought about Jesus, I didn't think that all you had to do is believe and have faith in him to be saved. That's totally illogical, right? You have to work to get to heaven, right? Well, that's not true. Yeah, you have to have faith. You don't have to work. And so there are a lot of things like that. Like when I heard on the school bus where babies came from, no, that can't happen. And you know, but there are a lot of things in life that are just counterintuitive because God's ways are not our ways. And so when you eat food, you know, you eat this carrot and it goes down there, and there is some hydrochloric acid in there, but there are these organisms, other organisms in here, billions and say trillions of them. I haven't counted them. And what they do is they start chowing down on your food. And they're there when you're born. Like if you have a cesarean, if a baby's born in a cesarean section, they have to swab the baby because it's a natural part of the birth process where the baby is inoculated with these organisms. And we're learning all this, and it's very recent that we're learning this. And so I started understanding this and what a prebiotic is and a probiotic and a postbiotic is. And then I started to study the soil. So I thought the soil, that would be easy. You just put in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which is abbreviated NPK. And there's the organic version of this, and there's the synthetic version of NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And that's all you do. You put it in, the plants go, and they look great, and that's all you got to do. And then, why was I wrong? Because God has something going on in the soil that is just, it's like more complicated than the human brain. It's fascinating and amazing. And so what's going on in the soil, can you guess?
Bacteria.
It's the microbiome.
Yeah.
It's the exact same organisms that live in your gut live in the soil. And there's millions of different kinds. And you think about that, and it makes total sense, because what did God make man from?
Dirt.
Huh?
Dirt.
From the dirt. Yes, from the, hey guys, from the dust of the earth, he made man. And so those organisms are analogous to the organisms in your gut. And so I started to think about that in the context of the soil. So now when I grow food, I'm not so much growing the food, but I'm growing the organisms. And the organisms take care of the food. And so when you grow food with NPK, you get huge, good-looking plants, but they taste horrible. And the reason they taste horrible is they don't have any micronutrients. And they're very sickly plants. They need pesticides and herbicides and fungicides because they're very sickly. And so but when you grow food with life in the soil, the plants are very healthy. They don't need the support of all those chemicals. They grow like crazy and they look great. But one thing that really surprised me is they taste great. So who wants to taste a carrot? Anyone want to try a carrot?
I'll taste the carrot.
Taste the carrot. And you can break it off and share it with someone else.
Sorry, I didn't like the bottom piece.
That's okay.
Anyone want to indulge?
Yes,
Come on,
pass it
let me-
around.
Let me get some of that
Well,
carrot.
here.
Yeah, there's
Come on,
more
let
of
me-
them here.
Let me get some of that carrot.
That's a rich carrot.
Come on, Hannah, get this last piece.
We're going to put you on camera. Okay, anyone else want to try the carrot? Just break it off. You
Yeah,
can't eat the
get in
end.
there.
The end is fine, but you can throw it
Okay.
on the ground. You can eat that, but I don't like the taste of it, Will. Okay, so Lily, turn the camera to this and tell us what you thought of that carrot.
I was surprised. I thought it was gonna be bitter, like dirt tasting, but it actually tastes really fresh. Like I wouldn't cook that. I'd put that in some ranch dip and go to town on it. It's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Flynn, do you want to tell us what you thought when you go ahead, talk with your mouth full.
No, it's really good. I like when I grew up, we had some neighbors who had a garden, and so we would pick the carrots and like wash them off with a hose and eat them, and it reminds me of that. It's a very good taste.
Yeah. Anyone else want to comment on the carrot? Raise your hand. We'll get the camera over to you. Anyone else try it and want to?
Something supernatural is happening in my gut.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Like, you know,
it
it's
is.
just supernatural.
Yeah, it is.
It was good. It was a good carrot. It tasted good.
Yeah. All right, back to me, Lily. Thank you. And so, when you eat food, so what I do is I have like a lot of the FSM kids come in here. The high school kids from watch that finger, hon. Yeah, there you go. They come in here over the summer break. They're doing service projects and I have all the kids that hate tomatoes raise their hand, and I have them come forward, and they start eating the tomatoes. And you know what they say?
Good.
It's the best tomato I've ever had. I hate tomatoes. And so what happens is when you have living soil, you have food that is very dense in micronutrients, and that's very noticeable by your taste buds. You notice that the food doesn't taste bitter and it doesn't taste like cardboard, and that's an amazing thing. And so right now, of all the food in the United States, 2% of the food eaten is vegetables, and 1%, and half of that is ketchup. So 1% ketchup, 1% vegetables, and so what we have is a population that doesn't really get any micronutrients. And what that causes is it causes a lot of pathology, a lot of sickness. Specifically, cancer is a disease of malnutrition and of toxicity, two things that cause cancer. And so that's why it doesn't surprise me anymore. We have so many cancer patients coming, but the food tastes a lot better. And so that's encouraging. So here are some of the food that we're getting today. If there are any brave people, come on over, and I'll let you taste it.
Come on.
This is
Whoa.
this is turnip.
Brave.
What is it?
It's turnip. So who wants it? Come and get it. Okay, Melanie.
The turnips actually last week were really good. They're very
It's a sharp
sweet.
knife, so don't grab the.
They're sweet. They're not bitter.
And so, anyone else?
Yeah, let me try.
They're really good.
What's the sharp
They
knife?
kind of
Yeah,
taste
yeah.
like radishes.
So, turnips are in the radish family, and this is a very mild radish. Oh, y'all are scared. Come on, Flynn. I know you're not scared. You don't look scared.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll get some more going here.
Maybe that one tastes bad.
Yeah, maybe that one tastes bad. Yeah. All right, last call on the turnips. Just come and grab it.
Pretty good.
Um,
Pretty good.
I mean, it tastes like a radish, right? But it's not a sour radish. It's not a bitter radish. It's a decent tasting radish. So you can put that on your salads. But when you cook these, or when you air fry them, they're very, very palatable. It's like a really sweet potato. And then some of the other food that we're getting now from the garden is the Jerusalem artichoke. Has anyone heard of this?
No.
Okay. So this is like a really, really super food. Extremely healthy. I think quite delicious. If anyone's brave, they can come and get some of this right here. Y'all aren't going to be outdone by a 10-year-old, are you? So when I'm out here, this is what I'm eating. I'm just pulling this stuff out of the ground and eating it. And I go for hours out here. I mean, I'm just feeling good. And I take my shirt off. I take my shoes off like they are. And it's just me and Jesus having a great time. And he's feeding me. And there's nowhere but like a garden where you see the abundance of God and the provision of God. And it's very, very inspiring to have a garden and eat the food from the garden. And then we get a lot of weeds in the garden. And so look around here. What kind of plants do you notice here?
Dandelion?
Yeah. Say it again.
Dandelion.
And what's dandelion good for? Does anyone know?
Tea.
Huh?
Tea.
Tea, yeah.
Tea.
Yeah. So I learned this from the cancer patients. So when you get cancer, what you do is you get on Google, right? Because you got to take care of yourself. Because I mean, you got cancer, you want to deal with it, right? So all the cancer patients, they want this this plant called dandelion. And then I started studying the history of dandelion. So dandelion's not indigenous to the United States. It was brought here by the Pilgrims as a medicine. And it only grows in compact soil around human settlements. It won't grow, you won't find it except in those two areas. Compact soil around human settlements.
We find it in our paddocks at home.
Yeah, you find it in your paddocks at home, and the animals are stomping things down, and the people are nearby. And so this plant is supposed to have tons and tons of vitamins and minerals and everything. And it's supposed to be really healthy. But you might say, it tastes a little bitter, but you know, then I read this verse in the Bible that says, one who is full loathes honey from the comb, but to the hungry, even what is bitter tastes sweet. And you know, so I came across that, and so when I'm coming out here for breakfast, I might eat that first, right? But I feel really good the rest of the day. So, you know, there's something to it. Now, does anyone know what this is? Louder.
Turmeric.
Did you get that? Turmeric. Does anyone know what this is good for?
Your immune system.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're like getting the flu, or you got a sore throat, and a lot of people get really sick right now. And it's also really good for inflammation. And there's a lot of that going around. So who's really brave and wants to try some turmeric? And this is when you have curry. You know curry? That's what this is.
A lot of curry in India recently.
Yeah. Yeah, and so they eat a lot of it there. And it's really, really tasty.
Whoa.
So anyone else? Come on, Will.
Why not? Why not?
It tastes a little funny. Hey, Zarni, how are you? This is good to see you. So it'll turn your mouth orange, right? I forgot to tell you that.
You can spit it out.
But you can chase it. You can chase it with Jerusalem. You spit it out. It's okay. All right.
Good for the immune system.
Now this
One
is
for the immune system.
yeah. Take one for the immune system. But you bring up you bring up a really good point. A lot of times, what's healthy for you doesn't taste the best. If you want something that tastes good, you go downtown to a drive-through, and that's going to taste good. But how do you feel the day after? You hate yourself, right? But this food, God gives good gifts. And so it's very different. But the transition to eating food from a garden is pretty quick. And I just come out here and eat. So I'm hungry when I'm out here working. So that's sort of what happens. So my job here, and why you're here today, is to help all the critters that live in the soil. Get tight back, huh? Yeah, we'll get you swinging something. Yeah.
There you go.
So if you take care of the organisms in the soil, if you take care of the microbiome of the soil, that takes care of the plants. So, does anyone know why we're having all these leaves brought in? Can you put those two together and understand why, Miss Biologist?
Decomposition, that as
Yep.
the leaves decompose, they'll provide nutrients to the soil.
Okay, so as the leaves decompose, they provide nutrients for the soil. That's true and that's right. But there's much more to it than that. They provide a place for the organisms to live. So those organisms, they need to set up on a substrate, or they need surface area to like bind onto and grow. So it's the nutrients from the breaking down of the leaves, and it's the substrate. But also, what happens when we get a lot of rain, all those organisms come up. So you know when worms come up after it rains, and they come up because they're drowning. And so it gives them a place to come up and get dry, but also hide from the birds. So there's all this choreography going on with the rainy period, the dry period, the organisms coming up and down. This whole like life, this food chain in the soil. And so my job as the gardener is to take care of the soil and the organisms in the soil specifically. And so all the leaves from church, guess where they end up? They're coming in that garden. So that leaf, like those leaves that in that truck that went by, come on over guys. It likely came from the church. And that company is bringing us the leaves. And so we're spreading them, and that's what we're going to do today is spread the leaves. And so, but I'd like to introduce a few people. This is Zarni here. Raise your hand, Zarni. And so what happened is Zarni and I were playing soccer and we're having a great time. And Zarni's from the country of Burma. And there were a lot of Burmese people coming to play soccer, and they're really good soccer players. But Zarni came up to me one day and he said, hey, do you have a place where my people, my church, because they were like a Burmese church where they have services in Burmese, and they were looking for a place to plant a garden because they missed their gardens back home. And I thought to myself, wow, come here. Because these people really know how to work in a garden because they grew up in a garden. Like my father, he was a university professor, and he didn't grow up working in a garden. He grew up going to school and working in an office. So we lost all those skills. All those hundreds of generations of agricultural skills vanished after World War II, by and large in America. And so, but when Zarni came, hey guys, come on Tom, come on over. When Zarni came and he brought all the people from Burma here, they were like amazing. Like these women may be this tall, but they'll do the work of 2 American men. And they're incredibly skilled. They work with both hands at the same time. They get down really low to the ground, and they have just intimate knowledge. Like I would be pulling weeds out of the ground, and they say, no, don't pull that. We eat that. And then I showed them how I planted the rows, and they took the seeds away from me and said, "You're fired. That's not how you do it." And I said, "Hey, that's good. Yeah, I'm here to learn." And so they showed me how to do it, and they have their own indigenous crops that they grow, and they're really delicious. And so they'll come here on a Saturday. We meet here every Saturday morning, and they'll come here on a Saturday morning, and they'll bring their food, and they'll have a picnic, and they'll work in the afternoon, and they'll let me try their food that they grew in the garden and they cooked at home and they brought it in. So I'm learning all these new dishes, and I'm learning about all the new agricultural techniques, and God is just giving me more than I can ask or imagine. And the whole time I'm getting healthier, I'm getting stronger, I'm scoring more goals when I play soccer, I'm feeling better. And I'm old. You're not supposed to be doing that when you get old. You're supposed to like go down, you're supposed to be on the exit ramp, circling the bowl, so to speak. But I feel better, I'm feeling good. But one thing I'll warn you about with the Burmese people is when they say it's hot, you know what that means? That means it's really hot. Tom, here's your container. That's from the hot sauce you made. Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. Yep. So they give me gifts. They give me a gift of hot sauce, and let me tell you, that stuff was hot. You put like a quarter of a teaspoon on like a big bowl of something, and the kids would come up to me and say, "Mr. Paul, what about this and what about that?" And I say, I can't talk right now. It's just too much pain, but it feels really good. So, are there any questions? I'll wind it up there. I know I've gone on a long time, but I just wanted to explain everything. So, any questions? No? Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take care of soil organisms this morning. Okay, and we're going to do that by spreading leaves. So, we're going to start in this area, and we got the tractor in there, we got the dump trucks in there, and we drop the leaves in there, and we spread them as best we can. But we need to take these rakes and tools, and you can pick them up and move them by hand, and we're just going to get it all flat. And so what's going to happen when we do that is they're going to settle down, the rains are going to come, and the leaves will keep the soil warm in the winter, and they'll keep it cool in the summer, and then they keep the soil, they keep the puddles from forming and the organisms from drowning, because those leaves will absorb many inches of rain. And so it stabilizes the temperature, and it stabilizes the amount of moisture in the soil. And so that's what we're doing. And so stop the video there, Lily. Thank